Good early Wednesday morning, people. You should have this by the time the market opens, or for some of you early birds or Asia people. So, this is my latest for the week declaration on 10/16, right? So the numbers have come out. I've updated. So important, you must buy today, Wednesday, 10/16, anytime in the market in order to get this dividend, or obviously most of you already own it, right? When does it pay? It pays this Friday, right? When is X dividend? Where you'll see a drop by the amount of dividend tomorrow, right? Or tomorrow depends on where you are in the world, on 10/17 on Thursday, right? So how much was paid for XDTE, the S&P 500? 2.17. Well, how does that stack up? Well, we had a 20.202, we had a 228, so right between the last 2 weeks. What I've been doing here to help you guys is I go back in and I yellow. I used to, when it was like, well, these are the only other ones that were that low. Now I try to find one that's 21 or 22. Since we're 21, I look for any 21s. And if I don't have any more, then I'll give you something like 22, right? This one didn't reach it. This one went over it a little bit. So back in July and in April, we had similar price. So obviously there's quite a range. I actually ought to put a range feel. But a very pleasant young lady asked me very politely in the comments if I could sum up the weeks, because she wanted to see if that changed, because obviously you can see you get 38 cents, you get 41 cents, and you get 18 cents. So there's quite some variance. She's thinking, hey, maybe it'll smooth it out if I look at it monthly, right? So even I wanted to see it after she mentioned it. So one of the things that happens, and most of you are aware of this, so when you have a calendar year, there is no non-calendar year, but when you're talking about weekly, right? When it's monthly, it's always 12. When it's weekly, it's 52. Well, that means every fourth month, every third month, because 4 of the months are going to have 5 weeks, and 8 of them are going to have 4 weeks, right? So you get 8 times 4 is 32, and 4 times 5 is 20. So that's how you get 52. So what I started doing was noting it. So I built a chart. I've been tracking this along. So as you notice, we're going to get 5 weeks out of this, right? So we're going to go to 23 and then 30 on the declaration. So what'll happen, the pay date will be later, but the declaration date will be somewhere in that. Let's see how it shakes out in the month. Yeah, that'll work just fine. So we'll declare on Wednesday of next week, and then they'll declare on the 30th, and they'll pay into October, but you will have 5 declarations in the month, right? So ironically, let's just take a look here at XDTE, the S&P 500. You would think your highest period might have been a 5-week month. The odds would stack that way. Well, it's not looking like that, right? We're 3 weeks of the 5, so we're 60%, and we've got 64 cents. So that implies if we stay on pace of the 3 previous payments, we're going to be around $1.08. Well, $1.08 for 5 weeks, it's more than 97 weeks back in a 5-week month. It's less than a 5-week month in July, right? But when you compare it to 4, what's the biggest month period? It was a 4 payout period, right? That's almost 40 cents, guys. That's pretty aggressive, right? That August really ended up being quite a good month. Now, I think October is bearing well, although I think next week we could turn down, those of you that are watching my October. Like I said, we could easily run to 60,000 on the S&P 500. So we're only in the 58. So it wouldn't surprise me. The question of how long does it take? Is it get done in 3 more days? Does it take another 8, 9, 10 trading days? Whatever it takes, we're likely to get up there and then come down. So that's what I'm leaning toward right now. That's kind of the extreme, the 60.8, 60,800 on the S&P 500. We may not get there. There's nothing that says we will, but that's kind of the peak of the peaks. All right, but let's not worry about that for the moment. Let's view these. So here you go, requester. Here is your weekly RoundHill XDTE broken down. I tried a little 3D-ish chart, and then let's jump down to QDTE, right, on the NASDAQ 100. So I changed the chart, generally the same. So let's see what happened on 10/16. You got 31.8. Nice, up from 26, up from 21. Now, oh, I didn't really go over this. So you were up 8 cents over last week. So that helps, even if you have the same amount of money, it gives you slightly more yield when you have a lower number, right, than a higher number. So let's take a look at this. We were down 8 pennies from 42.68 to 42.60, but we got a 5-cent increase in our payout, and you see it reflected here, 38. But look at this yield. Look at this, 56, 57, 58. Oh my, 67% yield based on this guy, 56 cents in a single week. Wow. So let's look at the chart, since that I'm kind of glad I did this. So here we go. We're 3 weeks in, right? Which 3/5 is 60%. I teach my third and fourth graders when I was teaching math after I retired from my corporate IT career. I really loved that. I loved the third, fourth, fifth graders. I didn't enjoy the high schoolers or older teenagers, 14, 15. Once in a while, I had a really good student, but most of the time, if they were really behind math, they were hating math. Whereas the young kids, they may not like it, but boy, if you work extra hard and figure out how they learn and you teach them, it is so rewarding. You talk about feel good. Oh my gosh, I would have done it for nothing. I mean, I was making $22, $25 an hour. I mean, I hadn't worked for so low money since I was, in my 20s. But hey, it's not about the money. It's about what you're doing and how you're helping people. So obviously, we don't make a lot of money in YouTube on this stuff either. But here we go, people. So what does that project, right? So that says we're going to make about 26 more cents per week. 2 more weeks. It says we're going to be about $1.30. Okay, well, there's a 5-week trend that was $1.20. We had a 5-week trend that was 177. Look at this. August still is the king. $1.77 in a 4-week distribution, right? So hopefully that helps. I'm really happy to do this. I think it tells you a lot more. Now I haven't gotten, I'm going to flip over to my total return, which I love to specialize in. Now RoundHill on RDTE on the Russell 2000, we're getting more, we've got 4 distributions. So I haven't done the chart. It's silly to do a chart when I don't, there are 1 in September and 3 in October. When I finish October, I'll wait till I have November and then I'll do a chart. But the yield is nice, right? 30 cents and 36% yield. All right, this is what you guys care about. And actually, I need to do a defiance, and I saw that Rod had done something. I didn't really like the way it was done. I don't care about who won on a daily basis. I used to do all that in the yield max. Was it a winner? Was it a loser? Did the underlying win? Did the fund win? But what I want to do is just map them since they distribute at the same time. I'll compare them and I'll do charts and graphs and all that stuff. I get tired of watching people. To me, if you're not doing it in a full blown screen and you're living in a spreadsheet, I mean, you're living in a phone. No thanks. I mean, it's up to you guys. It's my age showing there, but I don't want to look at something in a phone and zoom in and do all that stuff. It doesn't get it for me. Okay, guys. So let's take a look. Here is what we have. So XDTE, right? I know a lot of you hate it when I do this, but I have no. So I show the inception price. What do you want me to do? Show 5 different prices? I mean, when you can just calculate your own. I told you guys, I give you a spreadsheet that does all these total return calculations. And a lot of you, I've probably given away about 200 of those. So hit me up on my channel or in a comment, and I'll link you to that. So because I'm using a lot of those formulas here, but let me walk you through. So it says if you put $1,000 in and you bought XDTE at inception, it was 52.46. Hey, congrats if you bought it at 48 or you bought it at some other price when it dipped, right? It's at 52.71. So that's held up nicely. So over 223 days, if you bought it here, you would have earned 0.48 and just your NAV increase, right? Well, if you annualize that, 223 days converted to 365, it doesn't quite double it anymore. It'd have to be around 183, right? 182 and a half to be exact. But you still have a 78% annualized gain more than what you paid for the price. Now, what did you earn? You earned $7.25. What return is that based on the price you paid at inception? It's $13.81. Well, what is it annualized? Because that's only in 223 days. It's 22. So you add these two numbers together, and that's how I get my total return. So most of you guys all gravitate and say, all day, every day, give me QDTE. I paid less for it, and it returns more money. That would be one way to look at it, wouldn't it? I've got a 20% dividend return. When I annualize that, I've got a 32% return. So I don't want to mess around with a paltry 22%. Is that the real story? No, it's not, right? You forgot that you have a NAV reduction. I know. I get so sick of people convincing me it doesn't matter. You live in your own world and you probably think the world's flat. But try getting in a plane as a pilot and flying and flying and flying. You'll see very quickly that the world's not flat. And if you go up to about 48, 51,000, you can actually start to see the curvature of the earth. So, it's kind of like this argument that, NAV doesn't matter. Well, it matters, people. It's a loss, any way you want to look at it. If you want to ignore it, ignore it. I don't ignore it. So to me, the better fund is XDTE. Okay, 23% versus 19 net, right? Net total return. Now, why is this one so phenomenal? Because the base, right? You got 4 distributions versus, how many weeks in 27? You got 30 distributions in the other, and we got 4 here. Now, it is performing well, right? But 4.57, it may end up in 1 year at that. So all of a sudden, that's not a 46% gain. It's simply a 4.57, right? So your number over here would be 36. It's still pretty nice. But right now, that gain in a very short period, it's just like somebody does an option trade and they held the option for 3 days and they sold it and they made 80%. They go, well, my annualized gain is 1,294. That is accurate, but good luck on doing an option every 2 or 3 days and making 80%. What about your losses in there? What about when you don't make so much? What about when you break even, right? So the same thing all happened to RDTE, but it is performing pretty well. So that's what I got for you, peoples. I keep these numbers down here. They get automatically computed. That's why this all works up here. So annualized, you always have to know where you are, right? In terms of how long you've held it in order to annualize it. All right, peoples, that's what I got for you. I'm going to work on my Defiance, now that they're weekly and they've gone to daily and their payout, and I'm going to do comparison and do some charts. I'm certainly not going to choose what the other YouTuber is doing. I didn't like it at all, but that's personal opinion. Okay, peoples, have a good one. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is for fun and entertainment. Talk to you later. Bye.